on Election Day, you got 49.8% of the vote, just shy of the 50% you needed to win the seat outright. Jim Martin got 46.8%. During early voting for November 4th, back on Election Day, blacks cast 35% of the ballots. Now, in the early voting in the runoff, with Mr. Obama no longer on the ballot, they make up 23% of the early voting. Isn't that a big advantage for you, Senator?
Well, listen, I have never conceded one vote, and I've reached out to the African-American community from day one. I'll continue to do that. So I think the fact that at the end of the day, there was an African-American turnout of like 31% of 4 million votes, and I actually got 49.98%, came very, very close to getting that 50% plus one. But what that shows is that there were an awful lot of African-Americans that voted for me. But at the same time, you know, we're reaching out to all voters to try to make sure they return to the polls. I got more votes than Obama. I beat my Democratic opponent significantly on November the 4th. And if voters turn out again in the same ratios and in the same numbers, then obviously we'll win again.
Talk about some of the issues in this campaign, and we want to run a clip from an ad from your opponent, Jim Martin. Here it is.
Listen to Saxby Chambliss.
We may not be in a recession. I don't know what that term means.
Saxby Chambliss doesn't understand what a recession means.
Your opponent, Jim Martin, says that you voted for the Bush policies that got us into this mess, and he notes that you voted for the $700 billion bailout in September. He voted against it.
Well, he says he would have voted against it. Of course, the guy that he's joined at the hip with, President-elect Obama, voted for it. You know, that clip's interesting. That was about 4 seconds out of a 40-minute speech I gave that morning, in which, incidentally, when I made that statement, I was quoting Alan Greenspan, who I have a lot more confidence in than I do Mr. Martin's judgment on the economy.
Senator, may I just bring you up on that? Because that quote, when you said, I don't know if we're in a recession, I don't know what that means, you said that in July of this year, and in fact in April of this year, several months before, Alan Greenspan had said we're headed into a recession.
Yeah, well, you know, there was a real question about what is the definition of a recession. A recession, Chris, if you'll remember, it was supposed to be 2 consecutive months of negative GDP, and at that point in time, we hadn't seen that. But, you know, economists disagree on the technical definition of recession, and obviously that's what I was talking about.